All right, go ahead, fire away. I don't have anything for you. Not all at once.
How's Taysom?
Huh?
How's Taysom?
Taysom's great. Yeah, he's great. He'll be listed as questionable on the injury report. And then we'll see how he does over the next couple of days.
Was he limited?
He was limited again today.
More of a game time decision kind of thing?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if he's able to go, he'll be out there, that's for sure.
How often do you come across a situation like with Taysom's where if you were to miss, you're kind of missing somebody at several different positions and things like that? Is that unique when it comes to Taysom?
Yeah, he does so many different things for us, and so, it's not like you just have one guy that goes in and does his role. It takes a bunch of guys to do his role, so yeah, he's obviously an important part of what we do.
Do you see any benefit from practicing against this offensive scheme for your defense this summer as opposed to, trying to stop the run, they run the ball so well? Does that help your team?
Well, look, yeah, there's a benefit to going up against an offense like this with so many, shifts and motions and things like that. So yes, in that regard, not necessarily against this team because it's a totally different type of run scheme. This is unique in that what they do and having the ability for the quarterback to run with the football makes it a different kind of challenging. So run defense is run defense, though. It's all about, understanding where your fit is. It's all about eliminating space in the defense. And so from that standpoint, that was beneficial for us this summer.
Is spying the quarterback a practice that you actually see a lot across the NFL, or is that more one of those kind of halftime adjustments?
No, I think it's something that you see against mobile quarterbacks. You see, and everybody talks about spying the quarterback. Spying the quarterback's great, but whoever's spying the quarterback's got to be able to get him on the ground. There's a technique that's involved in that, and so it takes some practice at being able to do that. So, but it's certainly something that you see teams utilize every now and then, in particular. Well, when you're facing a mobile quarterback.
Guys are healthier now than you were week one. What are your thoughts on the way you guys have been able to progress the last couple weeks from a health standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to go through times in the season where you're banged up. There's going to be times in the season where you're particularly healthy. We're starting to get some guys back that were out. Guys are starting to come back and practice and work, but it's constantly evolving each and every week. I mean, this is a physical game that we play, so look, you just got to be able to adjust, and I think, hopefully we have the good fortune of not having to deal with too many injuries.
Going back to the spy, the fact that you have three linebackers that are versatile and have speed up and down the lateral, how beneficial is that to switch up the spy and the coverage of the team?
Yeah, well, you have to have some speed to execute a spy if that's what you're going to do. Because typically you're doing that versus, like I said, mobile quarterbacks that can run. This guy's unique in that not only can he run, but he's big, he's strong, he's powerful. He's a hard guy to get down on the ground. So, but yeah, I would say having some speed would be something that you would need to be able to spy.
Devontae Smith will most likely be the top receiver this week if A.J. Brown is out. What have you seen from him so far that's allowed him to have success?
Yeah, look, I think he's highly competitive at the ball. I think he's got good speed. I think he's an outstanding route runner, savvy route runner, so he understands how to get open. And I think that's, a unique skill for a receiver. And then he does a really good job at the catch point of he's not a big guy, but he plays a big man's game at the catch point, and I think that's what allows him to have some success.
I've heard other coaches like mention that Jason Kelsey was someone that like you had to plan for as an offensive lineman. Are there a lot of offensive linemen in the league that you guys like would have had to prepare for, and like how much does losing him change?
Well, I think the unique thing with him is, you know, he was just so good in being able to pull and get to the second level and do a lot of different things. You know, and so, you know, you would see teams, you know, at times would try to cover him up and try to keep him from being able to, you know, pull and get to the second level. But yeah, I wouldn't say there's a lot of offensive linemen that you're necessarily game planning for. You know, you're always paying attention to the matchups, but I wouldn't say that you're game planning for other than, you know, if we're trying to get a particular matchup, you know, more often than not in a passing situation.
Are they a lot different without him, or has it changed a whole lot? Or?
Well, look, I mean, I think Juergens is a good player, you know. He's a young player. He's you know, playing a different position than where he played at last year. So I'm sure there's some, call it growing pains, I guess, with playing that, you know, changing positions or whatever. But I mean, it'd be crazy to think it didn't affect him at all, to think you lose a Hall of Fame player and, you know, it doesn't affect you. And the center is, you know, he's involved in a lot in terms of the communication and making sure people are going to the right people. And so it's probably a better question for them to answer. And yet I got to assume that, you know, if you lose a Hall of Fame center, it probably affects you.
Dennis, when the dome gets to be the dome, you know, when people are really into it, does that change what you can do as a defensive play caller? And do you find yourself maybe like tapping into that advantage mid-game sometimes?
Yeah, I don't think it, you know, it's something that you tap into in terms of changing a scheme or a game plan or whatever the case may be. I definitely think that the dome has an effect in a lot of different ways. It has an effect on our opponent in that it's hard to hear. So it's hard to make adjustments or hard to make checks. You're going on a silent cadence generally, you know. So I think that's, you know, challenging for the offense. I think it provides a little burst of energy for us, both, you know, offensively and defensively when the crowd's working like it is. Now it's a challenge defensively too, you know, in terms of making checks and communications and things like that. I mean, anything you're trying to do verbally is just as hard for the defense as it is for the offense. So I think as we do that, we kind of got to pay attention to, you know, when we're putting a game plan together, we got to kind of pay attention to how much we're, you know, trying to make adjustments and stuff.
Yeah, when you're going up against a team with someone on the roster you might refer to as an instigator, particular talent in drawing.
Is there a particular guy you're talking about?
Is that something you have to spend a little more time in the week on, like outside the game? Like,
Yeah. I mean, we got to make sure we discuss it, and you know, we can't get involved in any type of, you know, extracurricular activities.
Does it make it easier to do that or harder because they all like know him so well?
Well, we still haven't said who that him is, so.
General question.
Yeah, I think once you get in between the white lines, I mean, you're just competing and you're playing football, so I don't think that's really a factor.
Landon Young's foot, anything to be concerned with right now?
Well, I don't think long-term it is. Now, status for the game maybe, you know, but I don't think long-term that's any sort of issue.
Is that the same foot, like related to the foot issue from a few years ago?
You know what, I don't recall.
I was gonna follow that up, but sorry, that was a while ago, so I don't even know if you would know that.
Yeah, hell, I don't even know what I did yesterday, much less what happened 2 years ago. You guys good? All right, guys.